What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. For those that are new here, my name is Eric, and this is my new 2017 BMW M4 competition that we just picked up. And in today's video, we're gonna be doing some of the first mods to this car. We have a ton of stuff planned for this, and I'm gonna go over all the different mods that we have planned in the future, and then talk to you guys about what we're gonna be doing to this thing today. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, if you guys didn't see the video previously, I actually just picked up this 2017 M4 competition. So let's go ahead and go over the full spec real quick so you guys know what it is, and then we'll go ahead and get into the mods we're going to be doing to this thing today. So this is a 2017 M4 with the competition package. It has the dual clutch transmission. It also has pretty much every option you could get in 2017, including carbon fiber exterior, carbon fiber interior, extended leather, upgraded sound system, and a whole lot more. This car is finished in the mineral gray metallic. That's the same color as my M340i. So I do now have two matching gray BMWs. I think it's really cool, and I'm super excited for us to get modding this thing. Let's go ahead and go over all the mods we're going to be doing to my new M4. Alright, as you guys can tell, I have absolutely been hoarding parts for this M4, and even started buying stuff before I even bought the car. So I have so much stuff ready to go. I knew exactly what I wanted to build. I've had a vision of building an F82 M4 for quite some time. So everything here is all going on the M4. This is all different stuff from interior, exterior. So let's go ahead and go over all the different parts I bought for my F82 M4. So starting over here, we have a big box from FCP Euro and a big box of fluids. These are all OEM different parts. This is all maintenance items. So we're gonna be doing spark plugs, oil change, transmission fluid change, diff fluid change, as well as any other regular maintenance items that are needed on this car, like cabin filter, air filter, etc. All of that is inside this box from FCP Euro. Got a ton of different stuff, and it all has a lifetime warranty, so I'm super excited about that. So this is all maintenance stuff right here, including a couple of these boxes. These right here are actually the transmission filters. So the dual clutch transmission has a couple of internal filters. These are OEM replacements, so we'll be doing the full transmission service. Right here we have another box. This is actually a new steering wheel for the F82 M4. This is one of the mods I'm most excited for. Let me go ahead and pull this out. So right here we have a BMW M4 CS style steering wheel with heat. So the M4 and M3 CS is a lightweight version of this car. So they take away a lot of options like heating. They take away cup holders, they make stuff out of carbon fiber, etc. to reduce weight. I drove an M3 CS in a past video, and I really like the way the steering wheel felt. It's a little bit thicker than the standard steering wheel, but the only problem with getting an OEM CS steering wheel is that they don't come with the factory heating option. So I went aftermarket, picked this up from Tactic Motorsports. This is their CS style steering wheel, but because this is an aftermarket wheel, I was able to get it with the heating plug right here, so we'll be able to retain the stock heated wheel functions. Super excited about this. I think this is gonna look great inside the car. To go along with the new steering wheel, we got a set of magnetic paddle shifters. These are a full carbon fiber paddle shifter upgrade. This fits all F-Series and G-Series vehicles. So once we test these out in my F82 M4, I will probably pick up another set and go ahead and throw these in my M340i as well. So in this package right here, we have a couple of different items. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out first. These are actually OEM replacements for the seat badges. In the pre-LCI version, they were a silver. Those silver ones actually are prone to cracking over time. So people upgrade these to the LCI or the facelifted version of the M3 and M4. So I was able to pick up a set of these used for very cheap. So these won't crack, these light up the same. So we're gonna be swapping these in. Next here we have a set of sequential turn signals. So these actually replace the turn signals in the mirrors and make them sequential instead of the standard blinking ones. So we'll be swapping these into the mirrors. The next thing we have right here is a set of lowering springs. These are from EMD. They are a very popular set of lowering springs for the F82 M4 and M3. They allow you to retain the factory electronic dampening controls. So we're going to be lowering the car with these. Right here, some of you guys might recognize this box. This is a set of VRSF downpipes. So these are a set of catless downpipes. These were actually on the car previously, and I was able to pick these up used for a really good deal from the previous owner. So we're going to be putting these back onto the car. So this box right here is one big one I'm super excited about. Let's go ahead and open this up and I'll show you guys what's in here. So right here we have a full set of adaptive LED headlights. These are the Ikon 2 style headlights. These came out in the LCI version of the BMW M3 and M4. These were not available in 2017 when this car came out. My car actually does have the option headlights, so they are the upgraded headlights for the year, but these are the upgraded option headlights for the years after that. We're going to be upgrading to these. I think they just look a lot more aggressive. They have a lot cleaner look with the LEDs and the angel eyes. They look a lot more modern, so I'm very excited about swapping these in as well. So last but not least, we have this big box down here. This big box has a new front lip for the M4 and a diffuser upgrade. Those are both from Tactic Motorsports. I'm very excited about that, to add on the carbon lip and everything else. So this is it, guys. So this is all the parts we're gonna be doing to the M4. I have some more stuff planned that hasn't arrived yet, but for now, these are gonna be the next few videos of all the different stuff we're gonna be doing to it. So in today's video, we're gonna be doing all of the maintenance items as well as installing the lowering springs. I think that's a good place to start. Once we get these in, I think it's gonna make a huge difference on the car, the way it looks, drives, etc. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're gonna start getting all this maintenance stuff on the car so that it's ready to drive, and I'm not gonna have any worries about driving it around while we work on the M340i. All right, guys, now that you've seen all the mods we have planned, let's talk about the maintenance items we're gonna be doing in today's video. So starting over here, we have a full oil change kit. We went with a 5W40 from Liquid Moly and a MAN filter. Right here we have a cab air filter as well as some spark plugs. So these are NGK spark plugs. They're one step colder and they are recommended to run if you tune your car. Right here we have some differential fluid. This is the Castrol 75W140. We're gonna be using this to change the diff fluid. Right here we have a full transmission service kit. This includes 7 quarts of Liquid Moly dual clutch gear oil, as well as the 3 different filters inside the dual clutch transmission, new bolts for the transmission pan, and fill and drain plugs for the transmission as well. The M4 did just hit about 45,000 miles, so some of this is a little bit preemptive. I think most of this is recommended around 60,000 miles. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it out of the way though. I do really like to drive my cars hard, so I wanna be sure that I'm not gonna be damaging anything by having any old fluids or bad filters in there. So let's go ahead and start work on the M4. We're gonna put it on the quick jacks and we're gonna start putting all these maintenance items on the car so that it's ready to drive.
So the first maintenance item we're gonna do is replacing the spark plugs. We're gonna start by getting everything out of the way so that we can pull out all 6 coil packs and spark plugs. That includes this carbon fiber cross brace, the left side intake, and both factory charge pipes. After that, we can remove the cross brace between both strut towers. That should give us full access to get in and remove all 6 coil packs and all 6 spark plugs. I do have a receipt from the previous owner showing that the spark plugs were replaced along with the crank hub and crank bolt capture. Those were done at Studio RSR about 20,000 miles ago, so they don't look too bad. So we're going to be throwing in new ones just to be safe. So we're pretty much going to be doing everything in the reverse order of what we just did. We're going to start by getting all 6 spark plugs in the engine and torqued down to spec. After that, we can throw in all 6 coil packs. Then we're going to put on the engine cover. The next thing we're going to do is put on the cross brace that connects both strut towers. After that, we can put in the charge pipes and the left side intake. The last main piece that needs to go in the engine is the carbon fiber cross brace. We're going to go ahead and throw that in along with the covers, and we're basically done up here. Now that we're done with the spark plugs, we're going to move on to the maintenance items underneath the car. like the oil change and the transmission service. So let's go ahead and get the car up on the quick jacks, and we'll start with the oil change first. Now that we've got the car up in the air, we can go ahead and crack loose the oil fill cap. After that, we're going to go underneath and break loose the oil drain plug and let that drain into a pan. And now we can fully remove the oil filter. We're going to go ahead and swap that out for a new one with new O-rings. We can throw that back in the car and wait for all of the oil to finish draining. After that, we're going to go ahead and take the oil drain plug and plug the oil pan, and we can now fill it up with our liquid moly 5W40. Now that we have the full oil change done, we're going to go ahead and go underneath the car and start work on the full transmission service. We're going to start by removing the fill plug. You want to make sure the fill plug is loose and you don't strip it before you drain any of the fluid out of the transmission. It's pretty hard to get a good angle of this underneath the car, so I'm just going to go ahead and get the transmission pan and all the filters out, and I'll show those to you guys over on the bench.
All right, guys, we got the oil change done, we got the spark plugs in, and now we're working on the dual clutch transmission service. So we were able to get all of the filters out of the transmission. There's 2 filters right here and a pan. We have the new replacement filters right here, new replacement pan, and then we'll be reusing this piece. This is the one piece you have to pull out of the way to get the filter out. And then we have some new dual clutch oil right there. We also have a new set of bolts for the new pan and a new fill plug. So we're gonna go under the car and get all of this in there, and then we'll be filling up the transmission using a transfer pump to get up on the side and get that fluid inside of the transmission. Then we'll be moving on to the rest of the stuff over here, the diff, cabin air filter, etc. And we'll be working on that. So let's go ahead under the car and we'll start working on this stuff.
So now that we're back underneath the car, we can put in the transmission filters and the transmission pan. We'll slowly start putting in all the different bolts, and we're going to come back with a torque wrench and make sure all of them are torqued to specs. We don't have any issues with leaking from the transmission. We'll come back later and fill up the transmission with fluid, as it is a little bit of a complicated process. So for now, we're going to move to the back of the car and start working on replacing the differential fluid. It's pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and crack the fill plug first. After that, we'll crack the drain plug and get all of the old fluid out of the differential. We're actually going to be taking the bottles and we'll add a small hose to the end of each of those. That way we can squeeze them and get the differential fluid into the diff without using a transfer pump like we'll have to for the transmission. After that, we're going to go inside of the car and work on replacing the cabin air filter. If you guys ever get into your car and it smells a little bit mildewy, a lot of the times that can be due to the cabin air filter. It's a pretty easy job. It's just some clips and a few Torx bolts to remove the filter itself. After we got the cabin air filter back in the car and everything buttoned up, we're going to go ahead and head underneath and start working on filling up the transmission with trans fluid. I have this transfer pump from Harbor Freight. We're going to be using that connected to the positive and negative terminals in the engine bay. That'll give us power and pump it up inside of the transmission. So we slowly filled up all 7 liters of transmission fluid, and now we should be good to go.
All right, guys, so we got all of the maintenance on the M4 done. We got the spark plugs in, we got the oil change, we got the transmission fluid change, as well as all the filters in the trans, and we got new diff fluid in the car. It's time to move on to our first real mod, which is going to be the lowering springs we're going to be installing from EMD. And I actually found some wheel spacers I had from another car that should fit this car pretty well. So we're going to be throwing on some wheel spacers and some lowering springs. Let's go ahead and get into it.
To start our suspension install, we're going to go ahead and remove both wheels. That'll give us access inside the wheel wells in order to remove everything we need to get the new springs on. Starting in the front, we're going to go ahead and remove the brake line and electrical lines from their holders so they have a little bit of slack. After that, we're going to use the jack to jack up the suspension in order to remove the top hat nut. After that, we can lower it down and swap out for the new spring. We'll go ahead and jack everything back up and reinstall the top hat nut. After that, we can reinstall the brake line and electrical connectors into their holders, and we're good to go. We're gonna go ahead and move over to the other side and repeat the exact same process before moving on to the rear springs. We're gonna use the jack to jack up the rear trailing arm and remove the trailing arm bolt. After that, we can pull the old spring out and swap it out for the new one. We'll use the jack to raise it back up and reinstall the trailing arm bolt. Then we're gonna move to the other side and repeat the exact same process. After that, the suspension is fully installed and we can go ahead and add a set of wheel spacers. We're doing 18mm in the rear and 12.5mm in the front. There's only one final thing to do, and that's reinstall the transmission cover underneath the car. After that, everything is done and we can go ahead and take this thing out for a drive.
All right, guys, we are done. That actually was so much easier than I thought. I've done lowering springs on a few different cars now, and this car, the F82 M4, was by far the simplest car I've ever installed lowering springs on. The rear was actually just one bolt per side. The driver's side had two because there's also a headlight level sensor, but other than that, it's one main bolt you take out and then you can drop the lowering spring. The front is just one main bolt on the top hat, and you just have to make sure everything is disconnected so that it can droop enough for you to get the spring out. So not a huge job. I did it in a couple hours, but this thing looks absolutely insane. It is so low to the ground and the fitment is absolutely perfect. We did an 18mm spacer in the rear and a 12.5mm spacer in the front. I think it looks great. Those were just ones I had laying around and they actually look amazing. So I'm super excited about that. Let's go ahead and take this thing out and get some shots driving my new M4. All right, guys, we officially have the lowering springs installed and all the maintenance done. It's time to take my M4 out for a drive. We're gonna go head out and do a canyon drive and bring you guys along with. Barely keeping traction, man. Woo! This thing is so quick. Just on the street, these cars are just absolutely insane. Even in basically stock form, this thing still struggles to put down the power through 285 rear Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires. So first impressions on the new lowering springs. They feel absolutely great. It still works with the adaptive suspension, so I'm able to switch from comfort into Sport or Sport Plus, and it still does make quite a difference. I think the suspension feels the best in Sport or Sport Plus now that we have it lowered. I don't think it handles quite as well in comfort with the lowering springs. So in Sport and Sport Plus though, I do feel like it is equivalent to the factory dampening in Sport and Sport Plus, just with a little bit better handling because you are a little bit more planted, a little bit lower to the ground. I already can feel the difference just street driving. Haven't even really got to the canyons yet, and I think it already makes such a huge difference. And overall, it really is, something that's just, it looks absolutely insane, and I am super excited that we were able to get these on the car. All right, guys, we got a little bit of open road here. Let's go ahead and go down to third, down to second, up into third, into fourth. Woo! Shifted into fifth, but I am letting off. That is a little bit too quick for me for a public road. Woo! So we still have fifth, sixth, and seventh gear in these dual clutch transmissions. that you could keep pulling, and let's just say that was fast enough that you'd be going to jail just hitting the top of fourth. These cars are just absolutely incredible. I can't imagine having one of these fully built with a big turbo or a build like that. Just must be an absolute rocket on the road, because even this car in its stock format feels absolutely amazing. It pulls through the gears effortlessly, and the shifts are super crisp and super smooth. All right, guys, we have made it over to one of my favorite canyon sections, so let's go ahead and see what this thing has got. Woo! All right, that is absolutely insane. This thing is so planted. It is such a rocket ship now. You can really use a lot of the power from factory that I feel like wasn't really available at the factory ride height. It's really hard to feel planted and feel safe in a corner when you feel that body roll. But now I really feel like I'm able to propel myself through the corner, and it does actually make a big difference. I know going to a full coilover setup would definitely be more ideal and make the car even better, but for the money, I think these springs are absolutely perfect. All right, guys, this thing looks so amazing with the new springs installed. I'm super happy with the way it turned out. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. But just like that, this video is over. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe to check out some more content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.